WCBI News at 10 starts now.
We begin tonight with breaking news. A manhunt is underway in South Mississippi for an escaped inmate accused of shooting and killing a Simpson County deputy. The Mississippi Bureau of Investigation has issued a blue alert to warn the public that an armed and dangerous suspect is on the loose. You see his picture right here. Joaquin Stephen Blackwell is accused of shooting a Simpson County deputy this afternoon. That deputy was flown to a Jackson hospital but later died. Blackwell was last seen in the Highway 149 area near Delo in Simpson County. Blackwell's 5 feet 8 inches tall and weighs about 175 pounds. When he was last seen, he was only wearing a pair of white boxer shorts. Now, again, he is considered armed and dangerous. If you have any information on Blackwell, you should call Crime Stoppers or the Mississippi Bureau of Investigation. Here closer to home, Tupelo police searching for 2 suspects after an afternoon shooting leaves 1 man injured. This happened near the Scottish Inn near Blair Street and North Gloucester around 3:45 this afternoon. Tupelo police say the suspects reportedly got into a cab, eventually getting out and running off near East Main and Canal Street. A police K-9 unit searched the area of Canal Street, and so far those suspects have not been found. The extent of the victim's injuries is unknown at this time. Now, the cab driver says that everything happened so fast.
I picked up some folks at Dollar General and was taken to Plantersville, and I got a call to stop. And when I stopped, they jumped out. And the police come up, had the sirens going, and I pointed towards the way they went, and they went after them.
Once police get an accurate description of the suspects, they plan to release that information. Fighting crime under the best of circumstances is tough enough. Fighting crime during a pandemic, it has its own challenges. As our Stephanie Poole reports, one area police department is getting some help to cut down on at least one threat in the field.
We're in difficult times, and this is a new situation.
Even during the pandemic, officers remain on the front lines. Columbus Police Chief Fred Shelton says through the Corona Emergency Supplemental Funding Grant, officers will have new devices on duty.
So the Bureau of Justice Assistance offered money specifically to help law enforcement respond to the pandemic. And we simply applied. We came up with a proposal. They accepted it, and we're here now.
The department was awarded $37,000. Some of those funds will cover air quality units for police vehicles.
We're going to be able to buy fresh air mobile units to put in our vehicles, which is going to take contaminants and pollutants out of the air. And additionally, there's a future on it where it can disinfect the car. And since our vehicles are used on a daily basis, it's safer for the officer, and again, it's safer for the person that we're transporting.
All officers will receive an air filter necklace. Crime scene barriers and 2 drones are also purchased for the department. That
way we'll be able to get real-time information, and it'll lessen our exposure to if there was a outbreak of a disease.
The police and other city leaders are doing the best that they can, by setting that example and doing those things and encouraging us to continue to do the same. And, by that, you can only lead by examples.
Erin Taylor is a nurse practitioner at Allegro Family Clinic in Columbus. She's encouraging community members to continue using protective gear too.
I think our biggest focus now needs to be on normalizing. What does our new normal look like? The best case scenario is to make sure that you continue the hand hygiene, you continue wearing a mask, social distancing when you can.
And hopefully, with these new measures, cases of COVID-19 will lower.
Regardless of pandemic, people are still hurting, crime is being committed, and we need to be able to respond, but we need to be able to respond safely.
Chief Shelton says any officer using one of the new drones will have to get an operator's license first.
We had a stunning day weather-wise on our Friday. Basically the same story for our Saturday. You may be heading out to the golf course. 10 o'clock in the morning, 79, and then we warm up from there. Mid-80s early afternoon, flirting with 90 with a northeast wind at about 10 to 15 tomorrow. But a lot of sunshine. We are very comfortable now, cooling down with calm wind in the mid to upper 60s in most spots. Tupelo, the outlier, one of them, at 73 degrees. So lows tonight is still expected to be In the comfort zone, upper 50s, low 60s, not too bad at all here as we close out the work week. And for your Saturday locally, upper 80s to around 90 degrees. If you go into Jackson, 91, Hattiesburg, 91. Right along the Gulf Coast, maybe a stray shower, but in general, we're looking at some pretty good weather overall. And basically dry for the next 7 days around here. Warm days, comfortable nights. Your full forecast and all the details coming up.
While most of the focus during the COVID-19 pandemic has been on physical health, Mississippi health professionals are now starting to take a look at the mental toll of 3 months of shutdowns and lockdowns. Courtney Ann Jackson explains how the state is making resources available.
The new normal of COVID-19 is taking more than just a public health and economic toll.
We cannot pretend that everyone is doing just okay.
The Mississippi Department of Mental Health created mentalhealthms.com back in March to make it easier to find resources for those who need them.
Sometimes we always want to make sure that everyone around us is okay, and we forget about taking care of ourselves. But if your feelings start to impact your ability to function each day, we want you to know that you are not alone and that help is available.
The department believes several factors are contributing to the increase in a need for services.
Stress during an outbreak like this can include fear or worry about your health, fear or worry about the health of your loved ones, anxiety from loss of employment. It can be changes in your eating or sleeping habits. Maybe you're sleeping too much or you're not getting enough sleep.
There was a 40% increase in calls to the DMH helpline from February to April. That was to find resources. And also an uptick in those who were losing hope.
About a 20% increase in Mississippi calls to the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. So we want to make sure that everyone knows that that resource is available.
Governor Reeves making clear to folks that they aren't alone.
Do not give up on life. Even if you do not feel it today, you are valued, you are loved, you are needed.
Courtney Ann Jackson, WCBI News.
Students return to class in August, and each school district is coming up with its own path for return. Our Quentin Smith was in Starkville today, where they're still trying to figure out what those classes will look like. Everything is on the table right now. The key word is options.
This is how classrooms in the Starkville-Oktibbeha Consolidated School District typically look.
Celebrate Christmas.
Packed with many students sitting close together. But when classes start back in August, things will look a little different. Superintendent Dr. Eddie Pazant says class sizes could be shrinking to help students and teachers practice social distancing.
That number of students that will be able to fit in the classroom will vary based on the size of the classroom and the age of the students. Our older students, will look at fewer, whereas our younger students, we should be able to get, anywhere from, 2 to 4 more students in a classroom.
Pazant says they're also considering having classes on Mondays through Thursdays and alternating the days students will come to class.
We're looking at hopefully getting our K-5 students, at least getting them in for the full week that we're offering classes. And then for our secondary level students, or 6 through 12, we're looking at some other options, such as AB grouping.
However, Passant says he understands that some people may not feel comfortable returning to school. That's why they're proposing another option: online courses.
There'll be some, live Zoom or virtual class meetings. There will be some where teachers have recorded lessons and then have assignments that attach to those lessons.
Things are still in the planning phase, and district leaders want to know what parents think. That's why within the next few weeks, they'll be sending out surveys to get feedback.
We'll be developing our plan between now and the next 2 weeks or so, and then we'll get some input beginning of July to try to finalize some plans by early to mid-July.
For those who choose to come back to campus, Passant says they will check temperatures of students and staff each day before class, and the district is considering using Friday as the day that they can deep clean all school buildings. This time next week, you could be enjoying a movie in a theater. Depending on where you are, Malco Theaters plans to begin reopening its locations starting Monday. And the first week, the curtain will be coming up at 6 of the chain cinemas, including 4 in Mississippi. One of those is the Tupelo Commons Cinema Grill. For more information on showtimes, you can go to the theater's website. All right, we're going to send things back over to Chief Meteorologist Keith Gibson. Keith, even next week the sun's going to be out. I don't know if you're going to want to go see a movie.
Well, it's going to be warm, and those movie theaters are usually pretty cool.
That is true.
So if you're looking for a cool place to hang out, I guess that's a place you may want to consider. We've got Dak helping us out here with our first alert forecast. This is what you need to know. More sun, more warmth, upper 80s here through the weekend. Your forecast is next.
Alert AccuWeather forecast with Chief Meteorologist Keith Gibson.
Nice and quiet Friday evening across all of North Mississippi and West Alabama. Current temperatures with our Alpha Insurance Camera Network in Louisville, Mississippi, Vernon, Durham's Pharmacy, Tupelo, and Columbus. Mainly upper 60s. Some of you still holding on to some low 70s. We are almost at peak daylight. 14 hours, 21 minutes, and 4 seconds today in Columbus. The solstice coming up on the 20th, about a minute and a half more. So we are just about there. And then we start to lose daylight as we go closer and closer to winter. We have this quiet weather pattern that is setting on up, a big area of high pressure, and its influence will stay with us all weekend long into next week. And we basically are assuming high pressure means a lot of high and dry weather around here going forward. Our planner for Boonville tomorrow is looking great. Check it out. In the morning, we are looking at temperatures in the low 60s or upper 50s by the afternoon, topping out in the upper 80s with lots and lots of sunshine here. So some of you will likely get to 90 degrees, maybe 91. Some of you will fall short just a little bit. But much like today, sunny skies or mostly sunny skies, a bit of a northeast breeze at about 10 to 15. It should be pretty nice across the region. Now, rain has been very close to us today. Southern Georgia, parts of Florida, heavy rainfall, some gusty storms down there. Over the last 2 days, some spots getting over 4 to 5 inches of rain. We've had our rain. Now we are drying things out. Some showers and storms down here in New Mexico, also out here in California, and also up here across southeastern Washington, where there were a few stronger storms this evening. Now, the best chance for strong to severe storms tomorrow across the northern Rockies and across the high plains, the northern high plains on Sunday. Around here, we're looking at some pretty quiet weather. We'll show you that with your Futurecast. For tomorrow morning, mid-50s to low 60s across the region. Very comfortable by midday, mid-80s in the afternoon, flirting with 90 degrees, and we do suspect there will be a few clouds out there, but nothing really to be concerned about. Another refreshing start on our Sunday morning, upper 50s, low 60s, mid to upper 80s in the afternoon. We are watching a front that could back on in from the northeast during the day. It will move on in here. Now, the question is, will we see a rogue shower or anything like that? At this point, we're keeping the forecast dry. Can't rule that out, but in general, most if not all spots will not see any rain this weekend or all of next week. Here's your AccuWeather 7-day forecast. Pretty warm here through the upcoming weekend. A little bit cooler behind that front early next week, mid to maybe upper 80s, but that will just reinforce the low humidity. So we're thinking the overnight lows will be very comfortable through at least the middle of next week. That's a big plus considering where we were earlier this week. Back up into the lower 90s by the end of the work week.
After the death of an emergency medical worker at the hands of police, a Kentucky city is taking matters into its own hands to ban a controversial tactic.
CBI News at 10 with Scott Martin.
Welcome back, everyone. Since public protests over the death of George Floyd in Minneapolis, another death at the hands of police is getting new attention and prompting action. In Kentucky, the Louisville City Council has passed a new ordinance named for Breonna Taylor, who was shot to death by police in her own bed. The measure bans police from using no-knock warrants. CBS's Jerika Duncan has reaction from Breonna Taylor's mother.
Say her name! Breonna Taylor!
After heated protests and emotional pleas, Louisville Mayor Greg Fisher signed Breonna's Law today. Under the new law, police will no longer be able to enter a suspect's home without announcing who they are, and they must wear body cameras. Taylor's mother, Tamika Palmer.
It means that she have saved someone else. And that's really the big thing here, because this shouldn't have happened to her.
It was nearly 3 months ago, March 13th, that police used a battering ram to enter Taylor's apartment after midnight, believing it was being used by a drug dealer to receive packages. While the plainclothed officers contend they identified themselves, Taylor's boyfriend says they did not, and he opened fire to defend himself against what he thought were intruders. He later called 911 with Taylor in his arms after she was shot by police at least 8 times.
Can you get her turned over on her back? I need you to check her and see where she shot at.
Oh my God!
There's been a dramatic increase in the use of no-knock warrants over the last 40 years, mainly for drug-related crimes, with a nearly 7,000% increase. Seth Stoughton is a law professor at the University of South Carolina.
If officers aren't knocking and announcing, the individuals inside may not know who is breaking down their door, which creates potential for error.
The 3 officers involved in the shooting death of Taylor have been put on administrative leave while the investigation is pending. This week, authorities released a puzzling, mostly blank incident report that listed Breonna Taylor's injuries as none, despite being shot at least 8 times by police. The department has since acknowledged the error. As for what happens to those 3 police officers next, well, that will be determined by the state attorney general. Jerika Duncan, CBS News, New York.
The 2020 MLB draft was a record setter for Mississippi State. We recap a big 48 hours of baseball next in sports.
Sports with Tom Ebel.
As athletes return to college campuses and COVID-19 testing greeting athletes upon return, more and more athletic departments are finding out the impact of the disease. Mississippi State joining the list of SEC schools with reported cases. 4 Bulldog athletes testing positive with the coronavirus in their return to campus. 24/7 Sports' Paul Jones was the first to report. The athletes were asymptomatic and will self-quarantine for 14 days. SEC schools such as Alabama, Ole Miss, Arkansas, Auburn, among others, have also reported positive tests of COVID-19. Unrelated to the SEC, the University of Houston has suspended all voluntary workouts due to 6 players testing positive with symptoms of COVID-19. A big development as college football tries to get back on track. The 2020 MLB draft is complete. Mississippi State setting a program record over the course of the 5-round event. Justin Foscue and Jordan Westberg going in the first round. The first Bulldogs duo to do that since Will Clark and Rafael Palmeiro went in the first round in 1985. Even with the game of baseball left in limbo due to the pandemic, the 2 Diamond Dogs are looking forward to their next career step.
I think scouts can only do so much when looking at a game. They watch the way you play, but to get to know who someone is as a person and how they're wired, I think is another thing. And I think that's where I separate myself from other people, is my drive and my self-motivation. So I guess they liked what they saw and they listened to.
The Orioles were one of the last teams I heard from. I think I heard from them that Friday before the week of that draft, and it was over Zoom call, which is kind of what every team was doing. But to have them be the last team that I talked to, and then to have the opportunity to be drafted by them, just made it special. It made it feel like they were thinking of me, that whole entire week leading up to the draft.
A total of 26 SEC baseball players drafted over the past 2 days. Vanderbilt leading the way with 4 selections. Then Mississippi State, Tennessee, and Texas A&M tied with 3 apiece in second in the SEC. Ole Miss with 2 selections on Thursday. The SEC leading the way, the most draft picks of any college baseball conference. With the shortened draft, the second lowest amount of high school players were drafted this year. But one of those who did get the call, Mississippi State commit Blaze Jordan. Jordan selected in the 3rd round by the Boston Red Sox. The DeSoto Central star says he'll take the next few days to make the call.
It can be a difficult decision. I mean, I'm in a great situation either way. I mean, Mississippi State's a great, any kid will love to go there too, but every kid's dream is to play professional baseball, so make the decision in a couple of days and see what happens from there.
Jordan's draft slot was valued at $667,900. The MLB is yet to come to an agreement as to when or if the 2020 season will begin. That's it for sports. We'll be back right after the break.
All right, for our Saturday, lots of blue sky just like that. Maybe a few clouds, upper 80s to around 90 degrees here. It's going to be a warm day for us, very similar to what we had today. A few more clouds going forward. There's your 7-day forecast. We are just on copy and paste mode, Scott, each and every day. Warm days, comfortable nights. Enjoy your weekend.
Hey, we'll take that copy forecast.
Hey, it beats the rain we've had.
Definitely. Thanks, Keith. Thanks for watching, everyone. Have a good weekend. See you next week.